welcome back to my channel. Our story for today is entitled The Boy with an Accent. Once upon a time in a land far, far away, there was a boy named Rocky. Rocky had just moved from Philippines country and started going to a new school. He was a bright and cheerful kid who loved to make new friends. And although his English was very good, his strong accent made some of the other kids laugh. They would mimic him and make fun of the way he spoke, but Rocky just pretended not to care. He thought if he acted cool and confident, maybe they wouldn't notice how different he sounded. One day, their teacher announced that they were going to have a storytelling unit where each student could share a story from their culture. Rocky was excited to do this, to show his class that he was more than just a kid with a funny accent. After school, he went to the library to find a story he could tell. He found the perfect one. It was a tale his grandfather used to tell him about a magical journey through tall mountains and dark caves filled with heroes, villains, and a little bit of talking animals, too. And at the end, there was always a message of hope and wisdom that made Rocky's heart soar. He practiced the story over and over again until he could recite it from memory. Then the day of the presentations arrived. When Rocky's turn came, he stood up proudly in front of his class and began. Once upon a time, high up in the mountains, far from the noise of the world, lived a poor woodcutter and his son Berto. As he spoke, his accent rolled through the words like music, painting pictures in the minds of his listeners. The children leaned forward, captivated by the tale. They listened intently as he described Berto's journey into the unknown, his encounters with mystical creatures, and the challenges he faced along the way. Rocky poured his heart into the story, bringing the characters to life with his expressive voice. When he finished, the class was silent for a moment and then erupted in applause. Some kids were clapping enthusiastically, while others had tears in their eyes. "That was amazing, Rocky," said one of his classmates. "Can you tell us more stories?" asked another. At that moment, Rocky felt a warmth inside him spread like sunshine. He realized his accent wasn't something to hide. It was part of who he was and made his stories even more magical. From that day on, whenever Rocky spoke, he spoke with his whole heart, sharing his stories and his culture with everyone around him. And his classmates, once they understood and appreciated his unique way of speaking, became his best friends. They would often ask him to tell them stories after school, and Rocky would happily oblige. He became known as the boy with the accent who could make anything sound like a fairy tale. And though some kids still teased him gently, they did it with respect and affection. And you know what? Rocky didn't mind at all because he was no longer just a kid with a funny accent. He was Rocky, the storyteller, and he was proud of who he was. And that's the story of the boy who with an accent. If you like this story and want more, I will really appreciate if you share, like, and subscribe. See you again next time.